Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's office hours presentation discussion, interactive session, we'll call it. It's a series we've kicked off. This is the second one we're running. Our first one was on data tiering and cost savings and everything that's going on right now in the market around, the pricing hikes in storage and hardware. Today, we're going to focus on AI data management, and you'll see live demos. And we've got Ben here, who's really the featured presenter, the person to ask your questions to. And yeah, as you can see on this slide, this is the second in the series. We have our next one next month is on migration best practices. But you can reach out to me or put your comments in the chat on what topics you'd like us to cover on these sessions. And hopefully you get a lot of value and insights out of them. So let's jump right to it, Ben. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to introduce smart data workflows. And Ben's really going to zero in on three primary use cases to begin with. One around sensitive data detection, regex search, and AI data ingestion, all very relevant and hot topics right now when it comes to unstructured data management. Then he's going to give you a preview of what we're calling KAPPA data services, which is pretty cool, serverless compute model for unstructured data. So Ben, why don't I hand it over to you? And as I mentioned off the top, if you're just joining, put your questions in. We'll try to make this as interactive as we can.
Cool. Thanks, Darren, for the intro here. So I guess you pointed out earlier, we're talking about smart data workflows. It kind of brings all the power of an intelligence of Komprise together to get you the results you need to be successful in your AI journey, in your data classification. It could even be tied into migrations. There's so much power, and it always starts with that first tile, the filter and curate. That is the global metadata base that allows you to search and classify, or search and curate your data. Then you can move into the processing, the tagging, the enriching, and then the final tile there, the blue one, is the intelligent AI for ingest. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So kind of the wind up as we kind of dive into what is SDW. All right, so how did we get here? Well, a couple of years ago, started interviewing a lot of our customers and asking them, what's blocking you? What's preventing you? What are some of their biggest fears? And we heard an overwhelming response of PII, sensitive data. We want to do more. We have to do more. And it was, we have these initiatives to take the next step into AI, data journey, but we can't. We know we have sensitive data and we cannot risk sending that data through those processes, but we just don't know how to find it. So don't know how to find it. The next question was, well, have you tried other solutions? And this is direct feedback, just like the last slide, direct feedback from our customers and the solutions they tried and why they didn't work. And a lot of it ties back to that first tile I talked about before, the filter and curating. Huge benefit of Komprise, that global metadata base. You have the analysis, you have the analytics to start with, so you can reduce the data sets. You're not trying to scan the entire data lake. You filter and curate, you get down to what you want to look at, and then you get to move forward very efficiently. So as we introduced SDW, we did the first announcement with PII, ePHI, detection, regex, keyword, and then we evolved it for the intelligent AI ingest. So ePHI, content detection, you get to sanitize the data sets. And then once you sanitize those data sets, you're able to then use the AI ingest to make a high-speed copy of that data to start training your AI models.
Just before you jump into the AI ingest, I know there's a really cool story there, but one of the big differences with this part of the product line is historically, we've only looked at the metadata. And now, really, we're cracking open files. So can you talk about what's different here versus what we've always done?
Exactly. So the metadata base is we have the analysis, we have the metadata of the files, but now we're actually, as you pointed out, now we can dive inside the file. We can read the file in its entirety, search for sensitive data, search for keywords, search for patterns, and then we can, again, we're talking about curating those data sets. We tag and enrich that data to allow you to do something with it. And do something could be that confined, that ring fencing process to sanitize it. It could be to make a high-speed copy of it. It could be say, you know what, I'm now ready to tier or archive so that I have infinite storage, which is that flash storage feature we announced a couple weeks ago. Answer your question there, Darren?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
thanks.
Perfect, awesome. All right, so let's get into a scenario. And once we get beyond the scenario here, we'll get into a live demo of SDW. So in working with a customer, healthcare customer, New York Presbyterian, this is a white paper that we published. They had a scenario where they were partnering with an AI vendor to help them look at medical imagery, digital pathology. In that process, they tried a lot of attempts to get their data to this AI vendor. And every time they tried to do it, those other solutions, rsync, data sync, bunch of other tools, all they wanted to do was make an entire copy of their on-prem data store. So we're talking about over 2 petabytes. They wanted to copy it into the cloud and constantly recopy it into the cloud, which is cost prohibitive. So let's dive into here to how this works. So we talked about the on-prem storage. It's on Everpure. With Komprise, what we're doing is we are scanning this Everpure storage for new slides every 5 minutes. And we're only copying those new slides that have not been analyzed by Path AI. That's the AI company they interacted with. So only copying the new slides every 5 minutes. Path AI gets to analyze those new slides, and then Path AI sends the results to the pathologists. So those new slides on the S3 object side are only kept for 30 days. Again, they don't want to increase their cost. They don't want to create a secondary footprint in the cloud. It's only available in 30 days. Well, what happens after 30 days? The pathologist may need to re-reference that slide. Well, rather than recopying everything, which is what the other tools want to do, Path AI through API talks to us. Another good point to call out is everything in Komprise is API accessible. You can program any action that you want to take. So Path AI says, okay, pathologist says, I only need slide 1, 2, 3. Path AI comes to us and says, I only need slide 1, 2, 3. We go get slide 1, 2, 3 and copy it back out to object, where it's available again for 30 days. So it's this constant process of only new data, rationalize the data in the cloud, drop what's no longer needed, and only call back what's needed on demand.
And we're starting to see, I mean, this is a very common scenario in healthcare, digital pathology, radiology, these massive files, DICOM images. So we're actually going to be sponsoring an API Pathology Summit in May in, where is it, Minneapolis. If anyone has teams going to that conference, we're finding this is a conversation we're having more and more with our healthcare customers.
Oh, there's your sales pitch for that conference there, Darren. Perfect. All right, so let's talk through some more examples. That was one really good example. Let's get into a live demo of SDW. So for me, it always starts with deep analytics, that filter and curating the data set. I'm going to start with a new query here. I'm going to go into, let's see here, my Isilon system zone. All right, marketing. Darren, I love picking on you. So let's go into the marketing area. And then within marketing, I'm going to look in just the sales. So I can look at the entire site, all of my sites. I can look at an entire cluster, an entire zone, just the marketing share, but I can also be more restrictive and say, I only want to look at the sales folder within the marketing share. So this is the first part that allows us to be way more efficient than other platforms that are out there in doing ePHI, PHI, is because we let you filter and curate up front. So I'm only concerned about the sales area right now. And then I'm going to be searching on something that's text-based. So let's reduce that data set again. I'm going to come over here to my file types, and I only want to look at text-based documents. So I'm going to start with document, log, mail, presentation, script, source code, spreadsheet, text. All right, text-based information. Now, these are buckets behind the scenes that have pre-built extensions in them. That list is available to you as a customer. And then you can actually create some of your own filters here as well, or modify to include or exclude some extensions from these. I'm just going to go to default, and now I'm going to hit run. So I've got 146,000 files that I want to look for something inside of right now. So I'm going to save this query, and I'm going to call this marketing PII. All right, I'm going to save this query.
Can you talk about why you do private versus public?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's a great idea. So private means only I'm able to run this query. It's saved just for my profile. Public means anybody in my organization can run this. So if I want Darren, so Darren being in marketing, I want him to look at the query that I'm using. If I make it public, he can also run that query and see the data in it as well. Thanks, Darren. All right, so now we're going to go to this new tab at the top called Workflows. In here, I'm going to click Add Workflow, and we'll get to see some of those features we talked about. If you want to do image recognition, we have Amazon recognition, keyword regex. We're going to come back to that here in a minute, but I'm going to start with this PII scanner. Think of the PII scanners as the 68 quick start scanners. And in here, you'll see a lot of those already pre-populated. I'm coming down here, and I'm just going to choose Visa credit card. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look inside the sales folder within the marketing share for Visa credit card information. I shouldn't find any of that in here, but let's prove it because I need to do something with that data in a minute, but I need to make sure it's clean and ready to go. All right. So I'm searching for Visa credit card information. Next. Now I have my share selector here, but I want to be more surgical and specific. So I'm going to choose my deep analytics query that I just created, marketing PII. I get a preview of that right here. I'm going to click next. And now this is where I get to do something when PII is found. I'm going to tag my data. So I'm going to call this again. I'm going to create a tag called marketing PII. The value of that tag is that content scanner that I selected, Visa. And we'll see how that plays out here in a minute. I'm going to hit next. I can choose if I want this to work one time or if I want this to be repeating. If I repeat it, remember we talked about New York Presbyterian, I get to choose how frequently I want this to repeat. And then as it repeats, do I want it to repeat the run on everything or just the changes and new files since this workflow last ran? All right, I'm going to run this one time. I'm going to say start it automatically. I'm going to be more specific in the naming of the workflow because I'm just searching for Visa information. I'm going to hit next. A lot like our migration screens, you get a confirmation before you do anything. So you can go back and change something or yes, this is exactly what I want to do. And I'm going to hit start workflow. And that created a new job right here. So again, like migrations, when I click on this, I get information about what it's doing. So it's currently processing files. It's already tagging files. Well, hold on a second. A little while ago, I said I shouldn't find Visa credit card information anywhere in the sales folder within the marketing share. This goes back to a lot of that information we talk to our customers is they're concerned about finding data where it doesn't belong. They know they're going to find it. They just don't know what they're going to find. That's exactly what happened here is I found information that doesn't belong here. So let's get a preview of what it's finding. How do I see how it's tagging the data? Well, metadatabase, deep analytics, new query. Rather than using any other filters, I'm going to scroll down here and choose Komprise tag. From here, I have my marketing PII, and there's the value that was pre-populated for me because I'm running that Visa content scanner. All right. Well, so far I've found 3,500 files that contain Visa credit card information in my marketing share. I can click this detailed list of file to get a preview of what it's been tagging. And then I also have this export button at the top where I can download this in a CSV to get all this information and even more, including the full path to that file. All right, well, that's great. But now I've confirmed my fear. I can't do anything with this data to take the next step in the data journey. Well, let's fix that. Let me bounce out of here. I'm going to save this query because I'm going to use this query to take action on this data. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to use public this time and call it marketing confined. I'm going to ring fence this data. So I'm going to hit save. And now this is where I'm going to leverage the plan tab. I'm going to start by creating a new plan. I'm going to call the plan marketing. I'm going to call the group confine. And then I'm going to choose the confine option down here. I can do it based on age, but again, I'm going to be more specific. I want to use that deep analytics query that I created called marketing confined. So anything that's been tagged as creating or containing Visa credit card information, when I run this plan, it's going to take it out of the production area. It's going to put it in a hidden admin share that only admins have access to. And then it's going to sanitize the source data. So I have now taken the critical, the sensitive data and separated it from my production data, allowing me the freedom to do what's next, whether it's tiering and archiving, whether it's migrations, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this data to create a high-speed copy to train an AI model. All
And
right.
before you do that, quick
Yeah.
question. Question is, I see the owner. Is that pulled from the user account in the metadata?
Yeah, so let me jump back there a second. Deep analytics. Let's run that query here. Marketing confine. See the owner. The owner is being pulled from the file itself. The owner is the creator of that file. It's one of the many pieces of information that we store in the global metadata base for you to help rationalize, filter, and curate your data set.
Okay. Good reminder to pop in some questions if you have them.
So now,
let me ask you that on that example of confining and looking through that file, what if there are a number of false positives? Someone looks at that and says, no, that's actually not the visa number.
Cool. All right. So one, we have a log that gives you a preview of the information that's found. But two, when you use confine, a really cool feature about that is when it confines it, it puts it in that admin area that you specify, is it keeps all the original folder structure. So as you browse through it to look at, to either sanitize, or legal needs to review it, or compliance needs to review it, all that folder structure remains. So if you go in there and say, you know what, I've either removed the credit card information, or let's just say I've removed the credit card information and now I want to move that file back. You know exactly where it came from. That breadcrumb trail exists, so you can just drag and drop it back, because now that file is safe to be in that area.
Great.
Did I pick up where you were going with that one, Darren?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. So the next step is I've sanitized that sales folder within my marketing share. So now I want to create a high-speed copy of that to train an AI model. Well, that is the copy for ingestion. So in here, I'm going to choose AWS because I've got my AI model running in AWS. I'm just going to call it bucket 1, 2, 3. A really cool feature too is that within the bucket, you can specify the prefix. Prefix is like the folder structure within a bucket. You can land it to the root, or you can have different prefixes for different projects. So I'm going to call this project 1, put in my access key, secret key 1. I get to choose what region, whether it's standard or GovCloud, and then within the region itself. And then I also get to choose the storage class. I'm just going to park this in S3 standard in Northern Virginia. I'm going to hit next. Now I get to choose my data set. So I can either use the share picker, or I can use my deep analytics query. Just to show you the share picker, I'll show you this here. So I'll go down, system, marketing. Again, I don't want to copy the entire marketing folder. I only want to copy just the sales folder within the marketing share. I'm going to click next. Again, one-time repeating, starts automatically. AI copy. Go ahead and hit next. Get a confirmation screen, create workflow. Now I've set this job up to create a high-speed copy of that data. And I didn't set it to start automatically because let's just say, hey, you know what? I want this to start in an hour from now, or I want to start this job when I leave for the end of the day. All I have to do is say start now. And that's it. Okay. So any more questions, Darren, on STW?
Just on the regex side.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. Thank you. Totally forgot.
Yeah, let's talk about regex, because it seems like increasingly it's regex that's going to go beyond kind of the standard PII detection.
That's great. So we talked about the 68 built-in content scanners. What if I want something else, or I want something more simplistic? Perfect. Well, that is the keyword and regex option. So keyword is simply, it is what it is. It's a keyword. I want to search for someone's name. So I want to search for Jane Smith. Okay, but that's only one spelling of Jane Smith. Maybe I want first name. Maybe I also want to have a search for the last name. Maybe I want to have a different case, because this is case sensitive, lowercase. So I can search based on keywords. That's it. You just type in the keywords you want, you hit next, you choose the data sets, and you go through the workflows. Well, inverse of that, what if I want something more specific? A great use case here is medical record numbers. Every organization has a very specific medical record number format. And medical record numbers themselves, because it's just a number, can have a ton of false positives. That's the power of regular expressions. With regular expressions, you get to specify the different patterns of numbers. Sometimes there might be a letter with numbers. The letter may be somewhere in that process. It may just be numbers. And if it's just numbers, that's where proximity words come into play, because you get to say, before you tag it, search for MRN, medical record. You get to put in all these extra, think about an array. A regular expression lets you build an array of patterns that you want to search for to reduce your false positives, to increase the success and the outcome of your project. Anything else I forgot there, Darren?
That's great. So you covered the PII use case, the regex, AI ingestion, and now I guess the leading question is, what if I need to do something more custom?
That's where we get to really have some fun. This is the one I'm really excited about. So nice wind up. Thank you, Darren. Now we're going to jump into KAPPA data services. So what is KAPPA? Komprise AI preparation process automation. That is a mouthful. Well, we're going to walk through some examples here, and one of the most powerful features of KAPPA is rapid metadata extraction. So Komprise keeps the metadata from a file perspective, the A time, M time, who owns it, what group is the owner a part of. All those filters that were in deep analytics, that's all part of the global metadata. But what if I have to go deeper into the header metadata, where there's even more information? Well, that's the real big entry into KAPPA data services. Typically, you had to use legacy plugins, legacy adapters by those vendors, and they were slow, cumbersome, out of date. We can go completely around those processes. So think of KAPPA as anything you can do on a per file basis written in Python. This opens the world of possibilities up, because you already have the infrastructure of Komprise there. You don't have to repeat building the architecture, the infrastructure, the cleanup, all that process that goes along with it. Komprise is there. You simply write whatever you want on a per file basis in Python, ask us, partner with anybody who you want to, and we will execute that for you. Let's talk about a couple different scenarios here. I think there's a question.
Yes, perfect. The recording will be
awesome.
shared. Yep.
Awesome. So let's talk about a couple examples here. The one I'm going to go dive deep into here in a minute is going to be about DICOM header data extraction. So we'll come back to that one in a minute. Media and entertainment. You've got the media image information extraction. Legal and corporate. Oh, this is a really cool one. Working with a couple customers that want to be able to tier and archive PDF files, which is great because it's a law firm, tons of information, usually stored in PDF, but the cloud vendor they want to use charges them more if the PDF file is over 25 pages. So why read the entire file to figure out if it's 25 pages? All you have to do is quickly read the header metadata, tag it as either being over or under 25 pages, and then you can quickly start tiering and archiving to achieve your cost savings this year, or free up much needed capacity because storage prices are off the chart. ERP system, Salesforce, budget IDs, that can all be pulled from the header metadata.
And one of the concepts I'm excited about is having this kind of pre-built library of these KAPPA data services, like PyDICOM. There's so many that already exist. Being able to pull those in and then make them available is part of the vision here.
Oh man, you're stealing my thunder. I like it. That's perfect. So yeah, actually I'll talk about it right now, because one of the main reasons why we introduced Python is because it's one of the most widely adopted languages out there, with some of the largest libraries available. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Again, I talked about the legacy ETL process, the legacy plugins that they're just cumbersome, expensive, hard to maintain. Python, super fast, super efficient. The libraries are already out there. Don't start from scratch. So,
and we have a number of partners on today's call, who might be building these or have the expertise in these industries and can help us, find these use cases and build these solutions out.
Well, it's also a way to provide value to your customers as well, as they can add on to the existing library that we have. They can build their own libraries. They can have their own source code that they can just execute across the spectrum. The possibilities are infinite with this. So let's do the wind up here. Working with a medical research institution that received grant funding for cancer research that expires in 12 months. They had to crush through 2 petabytes, again, over 2 petabytes of information of medical imagery, but all they cared about was chest x-rays. And it was a medical network, several hospitals combined together over the years, and they didn't just have one imaging system. So each one of those imaging systems had a legacy plugin to search for just chest x-rays. And when they looked across the board, they feared that it was going to take them over 12 months just to identify the chest x-rays they needed for this study. So let's get in and accelerate that workflow. Bounce out of here, go over to our example. All right, so here I've got different storage systems. I'm going to be looking at the San Jose data center one here. Let's start with deep analytics. Again, let's build a new query. Within here, I've got my DICOM image export, but I'll start with the whole folder this time. So I want to take the whole share, but I only want to look at a very specific DICOM file type. I don't want to look at all of them. I only want to look at ones that are called DCM. So I get to specify just DCM here. So what I'm going to do is reduce the data set from thousands of images to just 198, that quick. So within a couple clicks, I've already curated my data set to 198 files. Well, now let's do something with this. So I'm going to save this as DCM search. I'll make it public. Hit save. All right. Now from workflows, this time, add workflow, I'm going to choose this DICOM header metadata extraction option. Here's what, Darren, you were talking about earlier. All we're going to do is import PyDICOM, don't reinvent the wheel. And once I import that, here are the pieces of header metadata that I'm trying to capture. Each one of these will become a tag later on. All right, so 21 lines of code. Simply dive in, extract what I need, tag, move forward in my data journey. All right, let's hit next. Deep analytics. I'm going to do DCM search. I'm going to hit next. That's the query that we just created. I'm going to schedule this for one time. I'm going to have it start automatically and hit next. Now, I already did this ahead of time, so we had results to look at. So, like in a cooking show, I'm going to open the other oven here and show you what we got. So what I did is I actually went through and I processed 99 files, those DCM files, and I tagged them as such with those pieces, those 7 or 8 pieces of header metadata that I wanted. DICOM files can have hundreds of pieces of header metadata. I only wanted those 8. Well, let's see the results. New query. Again, I'm going to look at Komprise tag. And in here, I can see these were the keys that were created based on those 21 lines of Python code. Well, here, I only care about body part examined, and I only want to look at the chest. So when I hit add, there's my 99 files. Those are the ones I'm concerned about. So this is a reduced demo from that customer we talked about earlier. Again, I can get a list of those files. I can export this list and hand it to my research team, or I can create a copy of it using Komprise so that it's in a safe area that they can make any changes to it that they see fit. I can move it to the cloud. I can work with other vendors. Again, the possibilities are infinite. So one quick demo of rapid header metadata extraction. So the cool thing is all that information that's trapped in the headers, you can extract through Komprise in a matter of seconds to filter, curate, enrich, and expand your data journey. Darren, any questions there?
No, I think we should get to the wrap up.
Okay.
One of the things that's really been interesting for me sitting in a lot of these customer calls around KAPPA data services is, it's the infrastructure teams bringing in other groups, other departments. I've sat and learned a lot about DICOM from people who are in data engineering teams, supporting researchers. So it feels like there's an opportunity here for kind of the more traditional Komprise users to engage with other departments and really identify what are their use cases, whether it's AI or something else.
And Darren, that's a great point. Is every customer I've worked with on the KAPPA Data Services side, it's the storage team partnering with research, with legal, with the security team looking for something. So it's a really cool way to partner, enrich, and again, expand your data journey.
And I think that's why, the term data services, that's really what you're providing to the business, right? Data services, well, good governance, high security. We have a really interesting use case around sensitive data detection that we're going to be presenting actually in a Dallas event coming up. And it's with a security, like a CISO. So it's a very different audience supported by our, infrastructure team.
But it goes back to those fears that we heard from our customers years ago, is we have sensitive data. We know it's where it doesn't belong. What do we deal with it? So, all right. All right, Darren, turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so next steps for smart data workflows, we have a lot of updates coming in the 6.5.1 release. So talk to your customer success manager, talk to your account team about which release you're on and timing of an upgrade, because that's when you'll start to see this enabled by the account team for you. We've had a lot of customers working with us in an early access program, and the 6.5.1 release is really a big one for us, getting this out to more folks. So we want to know your use cases. KAPPA Data Services is going to continue to be an early access program. So similar, idea of reach out to your account team. Let's identify some possibilities. Let's get, Ben on a call and others in our product management team. We want to learn and really build out this library of functions as part of this KAPPA solution set. So that's the next step. I think on the next slide, Ben, we just have a reminder. Hopefully these are useful for you. We didn't get as many questions as we had last time. Last time was on tiering, so it was more maybe closer to home. But I do see a question popping in here. Let's see. What do we got? Can Komprise detect PII before sending data to AI models?
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. So the workflows that we talked about earlier, you can have those running one time, you can have them repeating all the time. So even that plan that I put in to ring fence that data, you can have them all working together, running behind the scenes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you can detect it, filter it, curate it, and move it over to AI.
Yeah, if you go back to that screenshot or that graphic at the start, Ben, of kind of the workflow of smart data workflows, it just has that whole benefit of getting surgical about your data, understanding, and filtering it, curating it before the data mobilization. And it's really the key, because these unstructured data sets are massive, right? So you want to make sure you're bringing the right data at the right time and optimizing cost and efficiency.
There you go. Yep.
So that's it there.
Yes.
Hopefully, sort of tell them what you told them. Can you just summarize, Ben? Just give us the final word on how this all works now that everyone's seen it.
Yeah, again, it goes back to the beginning. It starts with the power of the global metadatabase. You filter and curate, you reduce your data set, you process, you tag, you enrich, and then you move on to the AI intelligent ingest, where you can make a high-speed copy of that data to start training your AI models. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Great session. Look forward to the next one. Appreciate you all joining, and keep the feedback coming. If you have other ideas for topics, please do let us know.